Welcome. This is the Bleeding Birdie. Shit. Yeah,
that's the first time you've done that.
That's the first time I've done that. Let me.
Rookie.
No, it's all good, man.
I can edit it out. What is up? This is the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. It is March 16th. This is episode number 9. We're almost at 10. I'm your host, Jesse Martin. I'm here with my co-host, Keith Gray. Keith, what's going on, my man?
Yo, just another Monday in free agency.
Just another Monday. I think it's a little bit more than just it's Tuesday, man.
I know, I was confusing you.
Oh yeah, you did confuse me a little bit. Anyways, moving on. We have full press coverages. George Carmi joining us today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing real good, man. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
That's great. That's great. Well, I guess we'll start it off at the top. The big news. Ryan Fitzpatrick is now signed. Well, I guess he hasn't signed yet, but is signing a 1-year, $10 million deal with Washington, coming in here to maybe compete, maybe get handed the starting job that is, not really known at this moment. I think the deal's worth up to $12 million, I believe. George, let's start with you, man. What do you think about that?
I'm not mad at it. I know it's very polarizing and pretty controversial on Twitter right now, but I think it's a good placeholder. We were talking, before the show about, who would be our dream situation, right? We looked at Trubisky, we looked at Mariota, we looked at Winston. There wasn't really a lot of options out there. Like, obviously, we could shoot for the moon. We can go for, Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson or one of those guys. But, how realistic is that? So in regard to like a 1-year placeholder, I'm not mad at Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you mentioned it, but $12 million for his contract. That's not going to preclude us or stop us from doing anything else, in my opinion. I think it's the most appealing part about Fitzpatrick is, we could have him, we could add him to our team. But if he falls back to a backup role, or if we want to draft a quarterback in the first round, it doesn't stop us there. I like the upside. I kind of like the downfield attacking. Like, it's been hard watching football. All of us are big fans. We know, Jesse, Keith, we all watch the games, man. It's hard, like check down, screen passes every single time. I want some excitement. When it comes down to it, I want to win, but at the same time, it's entertainment. I want to win games and have fun, So I like the upside. I'm going for it, but granted, it's going to be a bumpy ride throughout the year. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Which, George, real quick, George, just to piggyback off of that, I think that's why there was Heineke mania, because he gave us that in that playoff game. Something that we as fans haven't seen in a long time, because we're so used to checkdowns in that type of play, to where this guy was actually throwing the ball down the field, throwing dimes in the end zone. I mean, it's been a long time. So I agree with that 100%. But sorry, Jesse, go ahead.
No, I was going to bring it to you to kind of see your thoughts on it. I know you've been pretty vocal on Twitter the past. I woke up this morning seeing you and go back and forth with people late last night. So what's your thoughts on it, my man?
So there's many different thoughts. I mean, I was up last night when I was actually getting ready to go to sleep. And then I hear it and I'm like, all right, I'm going to check it one more time, because I have the notification set. And there it was. And so my first initial reaction, like anything, is to laugh. And so that's what I did, because honestly, I was expecting a absolute Twitter meltdown. And to be quite honest, I actually saw the opposite. There were a lot of people that were excited about this. And so that threw me off my troll game, because I'm like, whoa, this ain't supposed to happen. Like, you guys are supposed to go wild. You're supposed to be angry. And then I'm supposed to sit back and laugh, but then truly be mad myself. So that was the initial thought. Then I woke up this morning and I went on about my life, making a cup of coffee. And I said, man, did we really fucking sign this guy? And I started thinking, and through the day, I'm reading people's tweets. And honestly, I was kind of flip-flopping back and forth on how I felt about it. And I think the bottom line is this, and I think George, touched on it. This is not, a long-term situation. This was a 1-year deal. And I think my where I'm upset is not really anything to do with signing Fitzpatrick. It's just going another year with a quarterback carousel. Like, we always hear as fans, next year, we're building, man. We've been doing this for 30 years and we've heard the same shit every single year. And it doesn't matter what coach it is, to be honest, it's the same shit from every coach. And, so please excuse me while my patience is, wearing thin with this situation. But when you just take the magnifying glass and you put it on the reasoning why we signed him, I get it. I understand. It's not, it's a Band-Aid situation. The way that I feel about Fitzpatrick is he looks like a funny ass dude. He looks like a guy who just goes out there and he gives it his all. He's not afraid to take risks. He puts his body on the line. I mean, I've watched games. It's not even clips that you've seen that people have been posting as of recent since he signed. We've watched some games and I've seen this and I said, one thing I do have to say is his career actually got better towards the end than it did in the beginning. So I also look at this situation as he was going to retire. If there were no teams showing any interest, he was done. So now we're looking at a situation where we have a 38-year-old quarterback, which in quarterback years, that's still young in my opinion. I mean, fuck, Brady's what, 43? So, I mean, he's no Brady by any means, but you get my point is he has nothing to lose either. I mean, he knows he's done after a year. He knows that there's another plan, and maybe there's not another plan. Maybe he gets re-signed for another year. They've already stated that these year contracts are going to be the thing. But truthfully, he's going in. He knows this is his last hurrah, and he's going to have fun doing it. And so I think with that, we are going to get big games from him, but then we're also going to get shitty games too. And so I think that, we just have to take this year as, all right, we're building. We're continuing to build and put pieces in place before we can get that guy. But man, I'm so fucking tired of waiting.
And Keith, real quick, sorry to interrupt you, Jesse.
You're good.
You're justified in that, man. I saw your tweet earlier today. You said you're 41. You've been watching this team your whole life. You're just kind of sick of it, right? I'm right there with you, man. I'm 37. I've been watching this team my whole life. We tried everything, right? We've traded up for RG3. We traded up for a big time player and Donovan McNabb. We've, got connections like John Beck and Shanahan and Danny Warfel and Steve Spurrier. We tried to connect coaches with players that, maybe could work. We've tried everything and nothing happened. So we're just exhausting all options. It is frustrating at this point. So I do truly want a franchise quarterback. And going into this, I was hoping that we'd trade up, honestly. I wanted to go after maybe Justin Fields or maybe, Trey Lance that fell down or something like that. But, it is what it is. I think, Ryan Fitzpatrick at 10 mil, 12 mil, I think we can deal with it for a year. I think if a player falls to us, we can still get him. And that's kind of the optimistic lens I'm looking at it, if possible right now.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with a lot of what both of you guys said. So I'm not just going to tell you, I'm going to show you how I feel about the Ryan Fitzpatrick signing. I am all for it. I am ready to rock and roll.
I love it.
I even got his pants. I don't know if you can see them.
That's
I got
awesome.
the short shorts on too. I am riding the Fitzmagic train all the way to the station. Let me tell you why. We've been for the past so many years, since 2012, have seen boring fucking quarterback play. Okay. I want some excitement. I want somebody to push the ball down the field. I want someone to give us something to be excited about on offense. And guess what? Ryan Fitzpatrick does that. Okay. No, he's not going to take us to the Super Bowl. We get that. Me and Keith have sat here for the past couple of weeks and we try to tell people, hey, it's not going to happen next year. We're not going to get the quarterback this year unless we trade an ungodly amount of assets, draft picks, players to get a guy like Watson, to get a guy like Wilson. That's not going to happen. Okay. That's not going to happen. We need to take back our expectations. Okay. We need to go into next season expecting not to only win 7, 8, 9 games. It's going to happen. But guess what? The signing gives fans something to cheer about, something to be excited for. Okay. Because he's an excited player. I've seen him play many, many times and he will take chances. He's a gamer. He's a gunslinger. Yes, he's going to throw interceptions, but guess what? He can score points too. Plain and simple. I think his what his average was like 23 points last year. I think our quarterbacks were like 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
If our defense can play like they did towards the end of the year, we get a couple more pieces. When he makes mistakes, that defense can make up for it in certain ways. So I think we're going to be excited about this, especially, him throwing the ball down, just throwing the ball down the field, man. When's the last time we had a quarterback that would actually do that?
Well, one, we're assuming that that's going to happen. We're assuming that we're going to be able to do that. And I'm not saying that we're not, but we got to be careful with this too, because systems are different. And, sure. We don't know, but I do know that this guy is going to get, if they supported Heineke the way, or if they support Fitzpatrick the way that they supported Heineke, they're going to get that same type of energy from Fitzpatrick,
sure,
that they got Absolutely. From Heineke. So I do see the team coming around to this. The only thing is, will they? Because they're looking at this situation as, well, he's a 1-year deal guy. He's a guy that, isn't going to be here the following year. So are they going to fight? I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that, there's a lot of different factors that could also turn this on a glass, half empty as well, with the situation. So it's just, the whole thing is weird to me. I mean, this is the first time that we've seen a 1-year deal where a guy is going to come in and start, and then, we're still looking for our franchise guy. Like, I don't know how fans can be excited, especially when you look at that schedule. Schedule is tough. And yes, I understand we played these teams last year, except for 2 of them, but those 2 teams are tough. I mean, this is going to be different than a 7-9, division, championship, that we got lucky because our division is terrible. I mean, Dallas is back up to strength now with, Dak healthy. I mean, the Giants aren't, necessarily going to be as weak either. I think that the Eagles are going to be looking a little, rough, but I don't think the division is going to be as bad as it was last year.
Not. Yeah, I agree with you. That.
Right. So, when you're looking at that, I mean, are we going to get the same results from Fitzpatrick that he gave in Miami? I don't know.
We may not get the same results, but I think we're going to get the same player that's going to put everything out on the field. I think he's.
But how does that translate to excitement?
Let me jump
in. Go ahead, George. Go ahead, George.
Jump in real quick. So, Keith, I love what you said. Like, is it going to transfer over? Like, will Scott Turner open up the playbook? Will Ron Rivera give him the keys to the castle? That's going to be very interesting. And honestly, that should be something we should keep an eye on as fans moving forward, right? This whole year, we're like, hey, Scott Turner, he was limited by Alex Smith. He was limited by Dwayne Haskins. He kind of got a pass this year, kind of like, it was understandable why they would check down and pass the ball around. We have a seasoned veteran. They're going to say he's from Harvard and he's super smart and he's seen every offensive playbook in the entire league. Let it go. If Scott Turner, if you're really that new offensive coordinator, give it to him. Let him go. Throw the ball downfield. And I think it'll be interesting. I'm expecting us to kind of hit that upper level. Like, there was a great stat on Next Gen Stats, a little like diagram of basically comparing Alex Smith and Ryan Fitzpatrick, and it was like the deep field shots, the percentages to go down the field. It's just Ryan Fitzpatrick he will give his receivers a chance for a 50-50 ball, and I'm looking forward to that. So that's definitely pretty interesting. I had another point, but go ahead. I'll jump on in a second.
Yeah, no, you're good. And I see what you're saying, Keith, and I do agree with you to the extent. He's got to come in here. He's got to know the offense, and the coaches got to trust him to open up the playbook and let him go with it. I don't see a problem with his team getting behind him. I think every team that he's been on, and granted, almost every single team that he's been on has been awful. They haven't had a defense. They've had shitty offensive lines and bare minimum weapons. Get this guy another receiver, and we can compete. I'm not saying we're compete in the playoffs. I'm not saying that whatsoever. Okay, I don't expect us to make the playoffs next year unless we have some luck because of our schedule. But we're going to be in some games, and he's going to keep us in games. But he's also going to throw us out of games, and we got to be prepared for that as well. Keith, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, going back to what George was saying too, I mean, I would think that they're going to open up the playbook, because obviously, it's been known today that, wide receiver and a top tier wide receiver in free agency is their choice. I mean, we tried to do this last year too, and just, swung and missed. And, same may happen this year, but there's still a couple of those guys out there. And I think that we're going to swing until we can't swing anymore. So it does look like they are wanting to, open that playbook. And, like I said, I mean, again, I guess it's hard to be excited because, like I said, as a fan, you want to have that Drew Brees, you want to have those Peyton Mannings, those Tom Brady's, you want to have those, elite guys. And I understand that they don't just, grow on trees, but you want to have that for your organization because it gives you many years of excitement to know that you're going to remain competitive. And it just seems like every year we, dance around that, 5, 6, 7, win threshold. And we haven't grown from there. And, my next big question, and I'll take, pass it over to George, is, if we don't hit 7 and 9, let's say we go backwards, are we considering this, regression because we did win the division? How are we looking at this situation?
That's interesting, actually. So let me answer one question first. So you keep talking about excitement. I think the one thing that Ryan Fitzpatrick offers is that upside in regard to, we've all been watching for so long now, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we're down by 10 points, down by 14 points, the game is essentially over, right? We never throw ourselves back into the game.
Right.
I do think with Ryan Fitzpatrick, we do have that opportunity. We can get back into the game and kind of like, he has the upside to take chances and get us back there. My dream scenario is that he does offer that upside to get back into games, but our offense is smart enough, right? If we get up like 7 points, 10 points, maybe Scott Turner, Ron Rivera pull the reins back. Like, hey, we're going to rely on Antonio Gibson. We're going to rely on our defense to kind of maintain and kind of push it forward. And hopefully kind of like, right the ship to stay safe as opposed to being a risk taker. Like maybe we can pull that back from him. We'll see how that goes. In regard to regression, Keith, that's a great question. I think last year was such a weird year, right? 7 and 9. I think, were we truly 7 and 9? Like, our schedule is kind of weak. We've faced injured quarterbacks all year long. Things tended to break right for us last year. If we stay at 7 and 9, it might be seen as a regression, but at the same time, that's going to be a benefit to us, right? If we go down to 5 and 11, or we go to 4 and 12, or something, God forbid, something like that,
better position
for a draft, right? We are set up for the draft and set up to basically get that quarterback in need. Dream scenario, like this offseason, right? Hopefully, I mean, I know it's all talk on Twitter and everyone kind of has their own 2 cents, right? But basically, if Ryan Fitzpatrick, if he can pull a Curtis Samuel or a nice wide receiver to come with us, right? Spend this offseason kind of building up the team. Next year, dropping in a quarterback into an insulated, safe position, a safe team. That's going to put us for success for the next 5-10 years, as opposed to, rushing it this year. I don't know. That's my perspective on it.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are saying, this is a pointless move. And I don't necessarily agree with that. There was just nothing out there. The options were so slim, and you had, do you want to give up a second round pick for a Sam Darnold? I sure as hell didn't. I think that's way too much. You want to give up a fourth for Mariota? We all thought that he was going to get released in the beginning, but apparently not. I mean, I would have gladly signed him for nothing, but I don't want to give up a draft pick for him. You have Tyrod Taylor. There's nothing to call home about. He
just signed with the Saints.
Yeah, he sure did. So that's going to be an interesting quarterback situation over there with those 3.
Tyrod Taylor signed for the Texans, actually.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Texans.
the Texans. Yeah,
right.
But
right.
There was just, we can't. I know everybody wanted their franchise guy, but realistically, it's not available now. This is what I'm thinking. Because of the 1-year deal, I have a feeling that they have a quarterback targeted maybe in the 2nd through 4th rounds that they want to bring in. Because guess what? Both Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen, they're cuttable. Okay. They're cuttable. If they want to bring somebody in, draft somebody, let them sit behind Fitzpatrick, a veteran that's been around it, that's seen every single thing. I think he's probably the best person to do it behind, besides an Alex Smith. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Well, didn't they? So they signed Heineke to a 2-year deal, right?
Yeah, 2 year, but it's only counts.
Like
It's like
4.75 altogether. It's like 2 million per year.
and they could spread that out. So
Yeah, sure.
That's really nothing.
But my point to that is I saw reports out there that Kyle Allen may not even be ready by camp either.
Yeah.
So
and his was only $850,000.
Right.
Kyle Allen's cuttable, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's ultimately what I think is going to happen. I think that if they do draft a quarterback, whoever that may be, Kyle Allen's going to be on the chopping block. I think that again, the team likes the coaching staff likes Heineke more than we do.
I agree.
And that's why they went the 2-year deal also too, because when you look at Allen's situation, Sweat, or not Sweat, but Montez,
Steven Montez.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's gone.
Yeah, or
he's a practice squad candidate.
That's what I was gonna say. He's the COVID guy.
Yeah, exactly right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Allen could be the COVID guy too. I don't know if they.
I'm not sure how that works with
it
a veteran.
Depends.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
There's still so much unknown about this offseason and what the program's actually going to be. So it'll be interesting to go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say. I mean, that could be the option, but I guess the thing that we struggle with is we don't know the team's plans. We don't know, what they're looking to do, and we're not going to get those answers until after the draft. I mean, this could be a situation too where, maybe this team doesn't even see, a QB in this draft that, they're interested in. 2022 is going to bring, 2022 is going to bring some interesting, stuff to the table too. So, maybe they're looking, that far in advance. And I think that that's what the biggest struggle is the fact that we don't know their plans, so when you sign a Fitzpatrick, there's a lot of, people feeling uncomfortable about this situation because we obviously know that this isn't long-term. So, again, I'm not mad about the actual signing. I get it. I understand. People were trying to explain to me all day today, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, I'm not new to this. Like, this isn't my first rodeo. I mean, I've been through, 30 years of, I mean, hell, we were naming quarterbacks. You could name quarterbacks for the next 15 minutes of, what we've been through, and
100%.
So it's just like, okay, I get it. And Jesse, when you say that they're not out there now, I want to hold the brakes on that too, because I've been very critical about Darnold. Okay. And I'm not a huge fan of Mariota either, but if you're only giving up something like that to attain those guys, the one thing that you do get from both of them is that they're young and that maybe they can thrive in a new system. Maybe they can be different than what, than the play that they've had, with their, the past teams. You just don't know, but at least they're young and there's some upside, and it would provide maybe a little bit more hope as opposed to having a 1-year guy that most likely after this year he's done. And I think that I don't know how I'd feel, like maybe, if we would have went after Darnold, right? Not the most popular, not the sexiest move, right? And I probably would be the first one to be like, oh man, this guy's trash. But in the back of my head, I would say, well, at least he's young. Maybe there's something there, and maybe there's something that we can build from. And I'm not going to say franchise guy, but maybe there's 3-4 years there to where we don't have to have an elite quarterback, but, we can have a young guy who has time and can, and their arm is still there. They can still play. It's what pieces can we build around them, which we're still doing that. So if you put a Darnold behind center with Terry McLaurin and, a potential Curtis Samuel, you might get the same results, if not better. You will never know. And so, that's kind of the perspective that I looked at. It was obviously the team did not feel that those guys were going to be the guys. They were not going to be the future. So we're not going to sign those. You're not going to get 1-year deals out of those guys. Right. Those guys are looking for a little bit of stability. And obviously, our coaching staff was like, No, because I've got 4 years. I've got 5 years, left. And the thing is, what's interesting is we don't know Rivera's contract. So Rivera could have some kind of deal with Snyder, like, look, you got to give me more than an average coaching time span to build this team before you let me go, before we just stink it up.
Mhm.
And so maybe that's Ron's point of view with this is, hey, look, we're going to try to get into the playoffs again, just like we did last year. That's obviously the goal, but we're not going to rush and bring in someone if they're not going to do the job consistently. And we're going to continue to look for that guy. And I can understand that point of view, but as an older fan, that's where I'm like, well, man, I don't have the next 4 or 5 years. Like I do, but I don't want to,
Look,
like
we've all been patient for 30 plus years,
Mhm.
and I definitely totally understand us wanting something now. Well, we do got to be realistic in stating, just
I get it. You're
of
not
what
gonna get it
of
this year.
what's of what Ron has to deal with. He not only has to deal with the players on the field, but he had to deal and build that whole front office staff as well too. To make it a professional franchise, and that's going to take time. I understand we've been patient for years and years and years, but I think with a little bit of time, some patience, we will eventually find that quarterback. And he's setting us up, like you like to say, Keith, for success down the road is what I'm trying to believe. And I want to believe. And I think that I do believe that, if that makes sense.
But try telling the guy like myself who is spending $1,500 on season tickets this year.
No, I know,
right?
I get it.
To go and cheer for a guy who's not going to be on the team the next following year.
I totally understand. That's why I have a feeling that they're going to draft somebody. That's just a feeling that I'm getting. Like, hey,
but they drafted doesn't mean he's going to play.
That's
he's
true.
Going to sit. So I'm not going to watch him either.
But guess what? I think pretty much almost all rookie quarterbacks should sit a year for their development's sake. There's not many rookie quarterbacks that come out are ready to play. Yes, there have been some, but not everyone's like this. Some need that seasoning, and maybe that's what Ron's trying to do. But I totally get what you're saying, man.
Let me jump in there real quick. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. You definitely brought some good points. I definitely agree with you there. I think there were options there. There were options out there besides Fitzpatrick. Like Darnold was intriguing. I think the one problem with Darnold is if we brought him over, he's on the 4th year of his contract, right? So next year would have to initiate the 5th year option, which would have been $20 million for him to be on the team, which would have been expensive. That was the hard part for him. But I do see that in Darnold though. Like I hated Darnold. Like I'm still not high on him at all. But I went back, I started watching film. He does have arm talent. He is special. He can throw the ball. He can definitely hit the nail on the head. But like his one knock is he's not a leader. Like I think when you're a quarterback, you need someone to be like the face of the CEO to take the bullets in the interviews. Like he's a kind of like a California kid, like laid back kind of person.
You're right about that.
He's kind of like, I don't know if that's good for him. Mariota, I like Mariota. I don't know how you guys feel about him.
I did too. I was kind of hoping Mariota would land here. If the Raiders would have released him. That was kind of out of everybody, he seemed like he might have some upside, and with a fresh start, who knows what would happen,
From all intents and purposes, he's got a good work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
He's started for 5 years, plenty of like experience under his belt. In Tennessee, he's had a defense and a run game, so it kind of would fit into our system pretty well. I think the problem with Mariota, he's had a weird contract as well, where it went from like 10 million to 20 million. If he was,
the escalators that were in that contract,
so that was an issue there. Keith and I both like Winston. I think Winston offers the upside of Fitzpatrick, but also, the turnovers like Fitzpatrick as well. The one sexy part about Winston is he's 24 years old, man. He definitely could build it on him for 10 years, but will always leave the Saints. And then finally, Keith, I think that's the part of this as well. I think Rivera kind of got caught, cards in his hands. He didn't know what to do. When it comes down to it, the NFL is an entertainment business. I think they are trying to sell us on Fitzpatrick too a little bit. Like as a season ticket holder, like, hey, this is exciting. We have 1 year, offense is potentially there. I don't know if you're buying it. It sounds like you're not, but I think like they are trying to do that. Like, hey, we're building something here. We're gonna have some offense going on. They're trying to do that as a product, but some people are buying, some people aren't. So
it's interesting that you brought that up because I heard that Mitch Trubisky was almost signed, sealed, and delivered to us right before the Fitzpatrick. They went with Fitzpatrick. Do you have any insights into that? I would have been pissed if Trubisky came here. I'm just saying, I would have been pissed.
I think with honestly, guys, it's like without all sincerity, I think they leak things on social media to kind of get a gauge for how we feel and then react in regard to that. I honestly do you think that, all of us are kind of diehard fans, been around for a while. A couple of years ago, more than that actually, when Jim Zorn was hired as our head coach, Jim Fossil was pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered as our head coach there. They released it on social media. Our fan base just went nuts. We're like, we do not want Jim Fossil. We don't know what to do, so on and so forth. Jim Zorn was hired as our offensive coordinator with Jim Fossil in mind. And because of the negative backlash, they promoted Jim Zorn to our head coach. Yeah. And that's how he was overhired as our coach. So maybe Trubisky getting that bad rep, maybe they did see that. Maybe they did kind of feel that way and pull it back. I'm not scared of Trubisky. I thought he has, he's athletic. He can run. He can throw. He's had pretty good seasons. He's gone to the playoffs with the Bears. But I just feel like he just kind of gets a bad rap because he was in that Mahomes and that Watson draft class. He's like the outlier. He's the failure of that class. And everyone's always going to peg him as that until he breaks out of it,
Yeah, I get you. I feel like in that Nagy offense, that's very, very quarterback friendly. And it just feel if you can't succeed in that offense, then maybe you just don't have it. They just made a mistake in drafting him too early. The other quarterbacks, they had opportunities. They just made a mistake, unfortunately. Keith, you got anything else on Fitzpatrick before we move on?
Well, I was gonna say with good old Mitch. I mean, I would give him the same ordeal that I would give with, Darnold. I wouldn't like it, but to me, they're all three in the same category. They're just lower level QBs that you hope when you bring in, you can turn them into a guy that can, at least, game manage. But, even game managers at this point, like we're tired of that too. Like we've seen that for so long that, we want a guy to come in that's going to compete. So I will say with Fitzpatrick, again, could he get signed in 2022? Sure, if he wants to play, if and I guess I just look at it as this guy is coming in with nothing to lose.
Yeah,
he will put his body on the line, and I do think that the team is going to support him the same way because he's going to bring that same energy that Heineke brought. Yeah. And so I think that we do have an advantage with that. It's just for the older fans, it's a little bit tougher for me to enjoy it because I know that it's not going to last.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I'm just going to ride the wave until the wave crashes. You know what I mean?
I will say, I will finish up my comment with this. Please don't fucking try to talk to me on, when I'm giving an opinion about, this situation and try to convince me why things are a good move. I am not new to this shit.
Yeah.
I know that it was a smart move when it came to money. I understand why the move was made. I don't need people convincing me or trying to trash me on my opinions. I've been real clear that my opinions are my opinions.
Yep.
Some of them are good and some of them are trash, and that's okay because that's what makes us a fan. We all think differently, but I'm not new to this. I'm new to the 1 year deal quarterback situation, but I'm not new to the reasoning behind things. I just think ultimately overall, I wish that we knew what the plan is and we weren't left in the dark.
Sure. And that's reasonable. That's absolutely reasonable.
100%, man. 100%.
Yeah.
We all went through
it. Let's move on a little bit. I'm sure we'll get back to Fitzpatrick a little bit later. But we haven't really spoke on this. Brandon Sheriff got the franchise tag. I can't talk right, but $18 million, 1 year. Guard, yes, they're trying to work out a deal. Are they going to? I don't know, man. But for me, my opinion, 2 seconds, 18 million is just too damn much. George, what do you think?
It is way too much, man. $18 million is a lot, especially when he was signed for 18 million. I think the second highest right guard was Brendan Brooks with the Eagles for 14 million.
Yep.
So it just blew out the next highest rated contract out of the stratosphere, The one thing I was so against it, and I still am, like, 18 million is a lot.
Yeah.
I guess trying to be glass half full, because it's kind of naturally how I am. I do think the TV deals are going to fluctuate and kind of change the whole salary cap in the next couple of years. So maybe $18 million might not be crazy in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So that might be one thing. And I don't know if you guys listen to this podcast, but Ben Standing Room Only podcast is really good. He actually had Jay Gruden on there recently, and Jay Gruden was, like, being totally candid and honest. And he was like, you know what? If you are going to overpay for a guard, overpay for Brendan Sheriff, man. He's a work ethic. He freaking busts his ass. He, like, he's not on Twitter, talking shit to fans. He's like, whenever he's on Twitter, he's fishing or hunting. It's like during the off season, like, you just focus, right? He's a hard worker, character guy. If you look like Joe Thuney, how do you pronounce his name? Thuney, he just signed a deal for 16 million. So it's like, if we're paying 2 million more for Sheriff, and it's a character guy, like a brand guy, I'm not upset. It doesn't kill me. We can roll with it, and we'll see how it goes from there. But
they could still sign a long-term deal.
Sure.
And, I think ultimately that's probably where it's going to be at, is in that 16 mil. And people are like, well, why would he sign if he's getting 18? Well, he's going to recoup that tag money through his long-term deal.
They can do that with signing bonuses and stuff like that too.
He's going to get that. So it's just more of, Brandon Scherf is an interesting guy. He's everything is what, George and what Jay Gruden has, talked about. It's just, I think the thing that why fans aren't on board with it 100% is because of his injury history.
That's exactly my biggest red flag with the whole deal is he's missed 16 games in the past 3 seasons. That's a whole season right there. If you think about it. If he gets hurt this year, that is a big blow. If he plays on the tag, that would be a big blow to us. If he got hurt, that's $18 million gone. As
But the one benefit, Jesse, is next year he won't be on the team anymore. If he gets hurt again, it's let him go. We have $18 million back, which is a good thing.
Correct.
That's true. Just unfortunately, he won't be on the team no more because he's a great guy. He's one of the best guards in the league. Go ahead, Keith.
If you really think about the psyche of all this, put yourself in the player's shoes. He's aware of his injury history as well. He's probably also aware that this is why the team isn't wanting to, throw the huge bag at him either, that they want to be reasonable with this situation. So he's thinking in this situation, which I can tell you, I know for a fact, Brandon Scherf did not want to re-sign if Bruce Allen was going to stay. He was gone. He was good as going to be gone. When that contract was up, but he stayed for another year to fill out Ron Rivera. I think that things seem to be looking okay. I do think that a deal's going to get done. He's going to get his money regardless of the tag. I think what he's looking at too is he knows that on this tag, if he does not sign a long-term deal before the season starts, that
July 15th or something like that.
Okay. Even way before then. Okay. So he knows that if he doesn't sign this tag, he's risking himself to stay healthy for the whole year, because if he doesn't, then he's as good as gone. So he's got to be looking at his long-term of, for his family, even though, in 1 year, their whole lives are taken care of, but
generational money.
Correct. But looking at it in the business in their eyes, that's probably the things that he's thinking. So, ultimately overall, I think that this is going to turn out to be okay. And, granted, it's a lot of money, but keep your homegrown guys,
I totally understand that. You want to keep the homegrown guys. It's just $18 million a lot. I'd be okay with 16. That's I moved up my threshold. My threshold was 15 a year, but I did move it up after Thuney got signed. I think 16 is a fair amount, and I don't think many other GMs would pay him much more than 16 a year because of his injury history. And that's the biggest thing right there but it's obvious that Ron likes Sheriff a lot. Otherwise he wouldn't have tagged him twice, plain and simple.
Correct.
They want him here. Us fans want him here. I just hope they get the deal done before the tag deadline. It's just, go ahead, George.
Keith's right, by the way. When I used to write for SI, basically I had some insider information coming my way too. Brendan Sheriff did not like Bruce Allen, and Brendan Sheriff wanted to feel out Ron Rivera. Like that's why he signed the franchise tag last year. He wasn't too keen on it. He's like, wow, should I, hitch my wagon to this guy? I don't even know who he is, right?
Yeah.
So last year he signed the franchise tag. In terms of long-term contracts, right? The way Joel Corey, I don't know if you guys ever follow him. He's like kind of a cap expert kind of guy. He said that the way Brendan Sheriff will approach negotiations is the first franchise tag was 15 million. The second is 18 million, right? If you kind of, divide that into two and find the average is 16 and a half, right?
Yeah.
So basically what Brendan Sheriff's going to do is for the next, his average annual value will be 16 and a half every single year of his contract. So it kind of falls in line with Joe Thuney, however you pronounce his name, moving forward. It's kind of what he's going for. So that's what we should aim for. I like Sheriff. As I mentioned before, if all of us, you guys, people that are listening, listen to Ben Standing's interview with Jay Gruden. He was like, dude, he was like, Brendan Sheriff is a freaking animal. He's like, that Kevin Zeitler from the Giants went to the Panthers, and Thuney's going over there too. He's like, those guys are big and strong, but they're limited. Like Brendan Sheriff is one of the best pulling guards in the entire league. He's one of the best, most athletic guards in space. Go for it, and like his PFF grade was like 84 this year, guys. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think it was an 81 run blocking, 82 pass blocking. So this guy's all around. Like Sheriff's he's a building block, man. Like I was kind of against it at first, but it's growing on me now. And I think when the TV deals blow up, that 18 million is not going to be so crazy.
Yeah.
Plus the cap's fake. You can always move around the cap and move things around if you need to. So that's
absolutely. Absolutely right. It's just, we're not used to paying guards this type of money, and the franchise tag, they don't have separate franchise tags for the position. It's just offensive line. So it doesn't matter if you're left or right guard, that tag number is going to be the same. And right now his second tag is a 20% increase from the first one. It's 18 million, Let's move on. Oh, go ahead,
Jesse. I think we're jaded from the franchise tag because of Cousins. I think that's definitely the best way to head a little bit. Like if you do the franchise tag with fidelity and with honesty and with good intentions, you're supposed to use it as a placeholder for a long-term extension.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins screwed us over, man. He was definitely used that to his advantage as a weapon almost. And as Redskin fans or as Washington football fans, we basically we see that as oh man, he doesn't want to be here, which might not be the case. We don't know how he truly feels. He's a Midwest boy and let's go hunt and stuff like that. But hopefully he has good intentions and he has good faith in negotiation. Then we see how it goes. But I think we are jaded as a fan base there.
You're absolutely right about that. Yeah.
It could look like that too, but there was also a huge difference between, the money that Kirk Cousins was getting compared to Sheriff, being double tagged too. It looked like it was in the same direction, but in the end, I mean, we know that Kirk Cousins collected hella more than, than he should have. So I don't think that that's this case with, Brandon, but again, I'm not sitting on his couch talking with him about it. So who knows?
I think Brandon wants to be here. I think Ron Rivera is a coach he'd want to play with. I think most players would want to play for a coach like Rivera. So let's just hope this deal gets done and then we can move on from it. Moving on from that topic, we lost two key defensive players. First, Ronald Darby, man, he played very well for us last year. He started off a little bit slow, started off a little shaky, but I think he was rated the second corner on PFF in the league. I believe he went and signed with the Denver Broncos for I think average of was it like 10 million a year?
Yeah, I was gonna say 30 for 3, right?
Yeah, something like that. That is pretty good money for a player that's had his struggles in the past. It shows you that 1 year you can go a lot of defensive backs, they play for Ron Rivera and then they go make big bucks somewhere else.
Good point.
I think this might hurt us a little bit. I wanted him to come back. I don't know if I wanted him to come back at $10 million a year, but I still wanted to be back. George, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I kind of agree with you. I think on a scale from 1 to 10, upset level, probably a 7. I am a little bit upset that he's gone. I mean, he's 27. He's a speed guy, 4.3 40. I like the fact that he has chemistry with our defense. He led the league with 15 pass breakups, so he was pretty. For my money, like everyone likes to like boost up and kind of lift up Kendall Fuller. Like Kendall Fuller was our big money guy last year, but I think Darby outplayed him. I think when it came down to it, he was definitely targeted more. Maybe they were staying away from Fuller, but Darby was targeted more and held his own. In regard to PFF grades, basically Darby had a 74.9 in pass coverage, while Kendall Fuller had a 65.3. What I do think you hit the nail on the head with was basically, I don't know if I'd pay him $10 million. It's actually pretty expensive. That's a lot, and especially it's his first year ever like playing the 16 games. I think he's missed 23 games for his entire career. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. There's something to be said for growing talent. Like one of my good friends is Nathan Coleman, J Chalk Hawk on Twitter. He basically, we had a good conversation. He was like, you know what, a dream scenario is to grab these rehab guys that have kind of like haven't performed well, have them thrive in your system and leave, take these big contracts to get those comp
picks. Yep.
Come back at you. So that's the one positive spin I could take from it. But Darby fit our system well, and being at 27, I kind of like keeping those guys around. So it is kind of a loss, but at the same time, hopefully we can find somebody else.
Yeah. Keith, what you think about that?
So I do feel that you could pick a guy up, like that in free agency. I mean, I don't think he lit the field up, every single game to where we can't go get that for under 10 million. And I think that that's the way that Ron was looking at it as well. Not to take anything away from his game. He obviously had, exceptional comeback year, from, Philly, where it was just, a terrible scenario there for him, but he just was never someone that I was ultimately excited about to begin with. I mean, does he, continue to make our defense better? Sure he does. But, that 10 million a year, I don't even think they were anywhere close with Ron, and that's why he left.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Ron, I feel like Ron cheap.
I think so.
He is
Ron is frugal, man.
100%.
Ron's like, I'm not trying to spend all this money. And that was the thing that was cracking me up too, when you read the Twitter, how people had all this, planned out where that cap money was going to be gone. I don't think people paid attention to last year.
No, dude.
He didn't spend all that cap. He held on to it, and again, he's got futures to think about. And so I truly believe that, we're going to get maybe, a wide receiver. We're going to spend some coin on that. And then I think we're going to get those bargain bin guys in free agency, and then, the draft. And I think that he's still going to have some money left over from the cap, maybe. And that's the way he's, and then, it's going to it'll roll over. And then you got, obviously with all these TV deals and the cap going up.
Yeah, the cap's going to go up a good deal next year. So
there's a plan where he may not be able to, retain everyone, but he's got a plan to keep the youth of this team, because if not, we're in trouble. And I think that is his ultimate goal. So it's just funny to me, when people are go get this guy. I mean, there were people talking about go get Corey Davis and Samuel, or go get Samuel and I think I questioned you on that, like,
because you and Adam thought that Davis was going to go for 16-17 million a year, and I was like, hold on. I said, I think we can get both of them.
What did he go for? 12?
Like that.
I think it was 11. I think it was 11. But
he was also the first.
Anyways,
he was also the first top one to go. I think if he would have waited around, maybe. But I also feel like maybe there wasn't a lot of interest in him.
Well, I just think if people are watching what they're getting right now, I think, because there's still there's still some good wide, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But yeah, hell, I wanted to spend all the damn free agent, all the cap money on offense this year. Sign them all. Hell, there's tons of them out there. Because we definitely need them. But go ahead, Keith.
No, so I mean, truthfully, I mean, that's just the direction that I see it. So I wasn't really hurt about these. Hey, guys are going to leave. This is going to happen. Sure. We're not keeping everyone. And I, honestly, I mean, I don't want to say Ronald Darby was, bargain bin, but
he kind of was coming out of Philly. He really. No, most people hated the signing when we signed him.
Yeah,
most people were like,
"You overachieved."
But last point that I'm going to make on this is, I think a lot of cornerbacks can thrive and Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio's defense. And it all comes down to the defensive line. The better defensive line you have, the better your cornerbacks are going to be. The less time they have to stick on their guys, because the ball is going to come out either a lot quicker, or they're going to have opportunities for, bad passes and interceptions, because the defensive line is creating pressure on most plays. So your cornerbacks are going to look better than they are. And that could have been the case with Darby.
I think our system also helps us out, Jesse. I don't know if you dive deep into it at all, but basically we run more of like a coverage type of defense as well. We do like a left cornerback and a right cornerback where you kind of like press off and kind of jump on it. Mm-hmm. So that's why Josh Norman did so well and Bradbury did so well, because they could watch the quarterback and jump on it too. So, that's why, like, I don't know where we're going to go with this conversation. Some people are interested in Richard Sherman. I think he's too old and kind of slow now as well.
Yeah.
But basically, that's the kind of coverage cornerback we can look at in free agency if you wanted to go that route. But I don't know. Darby's replaceable. But I agree with you, Keith. Going into this, people were like, "Oh, we're going to buy all these people in free agency." Like, no, we're not. Like, I have a couple of Panther friends that I keep in touch with on Twitter. They're like, "Dude, like Hurney, like if anything," they made this one joke. It's like, if Hurney spends on anybody, it's off the line linebackers that can't tackle. That's what he's going to overspend on. So keep an eye out for that. So basically, that's something we'll be looking forward to moving forward. But so we'll see. I don't think we're going to be big spenders. Maybe one shot of the wide receiver if we miss.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Not sure who it's going to be, but I think we have to. There's plenty of them out there. Moving on, KPL. Let me give my 2 cents real quick. I could care less about KPL. I really didn't. He played terrible in the beginning. He got a little bit better, but there's no skin off my back. To me, I saw him as a special teams player and a backup to a backup linebacker. He made a few good plays during the season, but he was nothing special for me. George, you what's your feelings on him?
Same ballpark. He's a speed backer. He's replaceable. He's a Jag. Good guy. Nothing, no offense to him.
Yeah. No, I did try to be an ass, but
he's just
whatever, man. Yeah.
But I think there are free agents if we want to pursue them. Denzel Perriman, Jaden Brown are out there, and it's a good linebacking class too. I'd rather pursue like a Zayvon Collins or a Joke or a Jabril Cox or something like that in the draft in the first, second round. It's going to fall perfectly for us. So let him go, and we'll see how it goes.
Keith.
He's replaceable, so I don't care.
Yeah. Moving on. We spoke about it a little bit ago. We have a need for a wide receiver. There's a few of them out there. I think that's probably our number one need right now, even though our linebacker room is thin. But offense scores points. So out of the wide receivers that are out there, who do we want? Who do we think is the best fit for this team? Who do we think Ron should go out and spend the money for? Obviously, the likes of Robinson and Corey Davis are gone, but there's still big names like Galladay, Curtis Samuel, Juju is out there. What do you think, Keith? I'll start with you.
Samuel. I think that he's the best choice now, and if you can lock him up now, you're going to save a little bit of money. Because if these other receivers start getting signed, he's going to continue to want more in that. And I think that he could potentially, get that. I mean, what's been, reported by me is that there were 5 teams that are currently and I wouldn't necessarily say a betting war, but there is kind of a back and forth. So we're not going to get a decision on this because there's 5 teams involved.
Yeah.
So ultimately this is going to take some time, but I think you're going to get, a young guy, good value. Rivera wanted him last year as well. Just didn't work out to where we could get him. So I think that, he's the best chance. I think that he would be a good number 2. And we'll be okay with that. I think that, I think that we would be in the best position, with him. I know I've been talking a lot about Juju, but that was because in the past, there's interest there as well. And so when you talk about Juju was very successful, and I had mentioned on a previous show that he was very successful when he was lined up with a number 1. So, it that could happen here. And everyone else's argument was his antics. And I ain't trying to hear that bullshit. TikTok is TikTok. I mean, we didn't have it 20 years ago, but just stop it with that bullshit. I just want a guy to come in and look, if the guy's dancing on a fucking logo, good. I want that competition. I want these
with that smoke.
All right, yes,
I think he's an ass. I think he's an ass.
Oh, shut
That's so funny. That's funny.
Listen, this is not the fucking 80s anymore, okay? This is not the 90s. We don't have rivalries anymore.
Don't make fun of my get up, man. I'm in
Listen,
the 80s mood right now.
I mean, you can only costume right there, Jesse.
Yeah. Ryan, poor Patrick there. But like I said, I think that that's the best fit. And if we can get him now, we're going to get him at a decent cost. Just because there's 5 teams involved, you don't know what the starting bid was at. You know what I mean? And so ultimately we got to look at, can we swing, and how much are we going to swing, and can we attain it? And I think that there's a similar type connection there. So I do think that we have an advantage, but we'll see.
George?
So the way I rank the free agent wide receivers is Kenny Galladay, then Curtis Samuel, and then Juju is what I'm looking at right there. I think Galladay, the reason why he's so appealing, like going back to free agency, right? I knew we weren't going to get Allen Robinson. I knew we weren't going to get Chris Godwin. So I kind of had my eye on Kenny Galladay the whole time. Whenever he's on the field, he produces, man. He's a jump ball guy. People say he can't separate, but he's savvy. He would work very well with Fitzpatrick. He could produce. And ultimately, I want a boundary wide receiver. Like, I think our draft class has so many good slot wide receivers, Rondale Moore and Elijah Moore and Tony from Florida. There's so many good wide receivers that we can kind of plug in instead of Samuel. Mm-hmm. So I think just having that boundary guy to kind of pick your poison with against McLaurin would be such a huge advantage moving forward. Like, we'd have a top 10, top 5 duo for the rest of the year with Galladay and McLaurin together. Yeah. If I'm Galladay's being straight up with you guys, I wouldn't come to Washington, right?
I would agree with you on that.
If I was Galladay, I'd go to the Green Bay. I think they want another wide receiver to compare with Devontae Adams. I think it'd be awesome.
Sick.
How sick would that be?
Sick.
Think about Galladay, right? I mean, $18 million to go to Washington or $15 million to go play with Aaron Rodgers and be in the Hall of Fame or go to the Super Bowl. Why not, right? I'll take the glory. I'd go with Green Bay. So Galladay would be my first choice. Samuel's intriguing because I think he's plug and play. I think he just jump right in. He runs a 4.3 as fast as hell. Put him in the backfield as a running back. Put him in the slot. He's on his upside. His trajectory is going up. Yeah. I think he has a connection with Ron. Someone said recently he has like connections to the DMV. I think DJ Moore's his friend and like his girlfriend's from the DMV or something like that too. So there is a connection. I mean, I don't know if he has probably multiple girlfriends anyway. Who cares? But whatever. But anyways, but I'm just saying, like, I'd love to have him. I think he would be more valuable to us and for other teams. That's why Samuel's important. And then finally, people hate on Juju, man, but Juju produces, man. He's a target hound, 120 targets a year, catches almost all of them over the middle. He averages 7 touchdowns a year. Juju produces. We're not like we are not a team to raise our nose and say we're too good for Juju.
Sure.
In my opinion. So I'll take him too. So that's 1, 2, 3 for me.
And at the end of the day, all wide receivers are divas. They all act a certain way. It's been known through the years. And that's why I didn't say Galladay, is because I do feel like he truly wants to be a number one. Mm-hmm. And I think that his direction towards, the Washington football team is not it. He knows Terry's the guy here. I think Samuel's okay with sharing those duties and, being called for that slot guy. And, he can be just, as successful there. So,
yeah, I would agree with George that we need a boundary receiver. I think with the receivers that are left, Galladay would be my choice. I see Samuel as a slot receiver / gadget player. I kind of think that we do have, as far as the gadget side of it, I think we have players that can do some of the stuff that Sam was to do. Gibson and McKissick both were wide receivers before. So they could, expand the playbook and do the things that Samuels could do. I have heard, well, not have heard, it kind of was a fact. When Samuels came in, he had he struggled in the Turner offense a little bit. So I don't know if it had to do with the offense, or I don't know if it just took him a couple of years to get going. But if we get Samuels comes in here and if we get the Samuels of last year, I'm all for that. I'm definitely all for that. But I think we need a boundary number 2 wide receiver. I think Samuels would come in here and he would light up the slot 100%. And we need a slot too, plain and simple.
Mhm.
But like you said, there are tons of receivers in the draft and tons of slot guys in the draft that we could get in the second and third round that would, play pretty well, and it wouldn't take long for them to get up to speed. Fact of the matter is we need at least 2 receivers, no matter if it's in free agency or the draft. We
We
need
got to walk away with one. We got to walk away with one free agent wide receiver.
Yeah, we do 100%.
That's the fastest way to success, I think. In my opinion.
They just signed I think Cam Sims just signed the tender, but he is not wide receiver 2 material. I think he's a 3 or a 4. We do have Kelvin Harbin coming back. I'm kind of intrigued to see what he can bring. He's a big bodied receiver that will make contact, will block. So I'm actually excited to see what he can bring. He tore his ACL early in the offseason, like right after the season ended in 2019. I know a lot of times for the receivers and running backs, it takes them a year to recover, but he's almost had that. So I think him coming in, he should be, almost full go and up to speed. You see the videos that he put out. And he's, he looks pretty good. I don't think he's 100%. His speed's up to 100% yet, but I'm
He'll
intrigued.
tell you that.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by Harmon. I really am. I like his big body. I like big body receivers. And Terry's what, 6'2", 6'3". Harmon, I think, is 6'4". I mean, maybe he can do something. We'll see.
He apparently was in a text today, and within that conversation, he said that he's at 80%, and he is posting clips. I believe this clip was actually without the brace, where kind of looked a little bit better because that one clip that he posted with the brace.
Yeah, it looked a little awkward when
yeah,
a little slow too.
Yeah, that was tough to watch, but I don't know if it was really necessarily the speed that he was trying to show. I think it was more of, hey, I can run, here I am, and I'm running with this brace on, and still catching. So, there's something to be said there, but that's to, remain to be seen. I think that we're all still willing to, not that we have a choice in it, but as fans, we're willing to give him a shot to see what we have in him.
Yeah.
My only fear with Harmon, he was never a separation wide receiver. Like even back in college, he was a big body guy. I'm afraid losing even 10% of that because of the ACL. But that's slowing down even further. I'm kind of worried about that. And his best time was with Dwayne Haskins behind the quarterback. So I don't know if he's going to lose that connection there, but he is intriguing, and I'm rooting for him. He's on our team. I got to root for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be wide receiver 2 material, but I am saying that I want to see what he can do, because he can get nasty, and he can block on the outside. We'll see.
Yep.
Let's move on from free agency. Well, actually, let's talk about the linebackers just real quick. Obviously, that's a big hole. We got rid of KPL. There's a couple linebackers out there that are intriguing. I like the linebackers that are in the draft, but George, which linebacker that's left out there that you want Ron to bring in?
There's basically 2, in my opinion, that are worth looking at, right? J.N. Brown from the Tennessee Titans and Denzel Perriman from the Chargers. I think they're both pretty good linebackers. They would basically fit our needs pretty well. The one thing I like about J.N. Brown is that he's 26 years old. He's a coverage backer. He's pretty fast. He actually had a 73.4 PPF grade for coverage for pass coverage this year. He's very similar to Matt Milano in Buffalo. I guess his one knock is that he's not the strongest in run support, but maybe you can kind of balance that out. Like he would be our weak side linebacker, which, just have him back there and give it a shot there. Denzel Perriman's also really good too. He's 28 years old. He's good all around. He's been a good linebacker for a couple of years now. His PFF score was 86 for run defense and 74 for coverage. So he's a good, more well-rounded linebacker. 74 in coverage is pretty solid. So that's actually better than Jayden Brown. I think he kind of fell out of favor in Los Angeles, because the scheme was different. So he didn't get as much reps as he has in the past. So like if you look at his stats, it'd be like less tackles, less games played, but it wasn't injury. It's more like he was getting phased out, which is that a red flag? I have no idea, but he would be intriguing. And I think, looking into those guys, I think, they would be interesting. Linebackers aren't that expensive either. Like
Yeah.
Jaden Brown, I think the average like per year would be 9 million for him, which is like, we said Ronald Darby's 10 million. Like if you get a nice linebacker that can cover, why not? But at the same time, I think there's some good linebackers in the draft class. So I might take a swing at one of these guys, but then fade it towards the draft.
Yeah. Yeah. Keith, you got anything on the backers?
Nope, you guys are the experts on this one.
Yeah.
So
there's another backer that I've seen some people talk about him today. I can't think of his first name, but Murrow from
Nick Murrow from
Nick Murrow. That's it.
Vegas.
From Vegas could be is available. I don't know too much about him, but from a couple of people talking about it, I think Jack Del Rio drafted him, so he could be an interesting option. Like I said, been saying from the beginning, we needed to blow up our linebacker room with it for everybody except for Cole Holcomb. I think it needs a massive makeover. We struggled in coverage and we struggled in run support. Something's got to happen. And to segue into the draft at 19, I feel that we should go linebacker. George, Xavier Collins is my guy. I have a man crush. I have a man crush on this dude.
Yeah.
And I would do anything for us to pick him up, man. What do you think about the linebackers early on in this draft?
I love the linebackers early in this draft. I think I was talking I'm in a group chat with Ian Cummings, Alan Lepori, Nathan Coleman. They're my good friends. They're huge draft guys. We talk about it all day long. There are some intriguing draft prospects. Joke would be around there, around 19 from Notre Dame. Xavier Collins would be around there. Nick Bolton, Jabril Cox would be probably a little bit later on in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
I do like Xavier Collins a lot. It depends on what's going to be there at 19. Like if we get Curtis Samuel in our free agency, which would be awesome. I'd love to have Curtis Samuel. We would still need a boundary wide receiver. So I'd probably trend towards Rashad Bateman. I think he'd be a nice little, wide receiver from Minnesota for the outside. That'd be awesome. Cornerback, right? Let's say we whiff on all these cornerbacks. There are a couple of good ones, like JC Horn from South Carolina.
Yep.
If he falls to 19, we could probably get him too. Going back to like dream scenario, right? We could probably get a left tackle or linebacker at 19 and still get a slot wide receiver in the second round. That's how talented this is, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think Xavier Collins, might be a little bit too rich at 19, but you know what?
We could even trade back.
And
I'd be okay taking him at 19, to tell you the truth. I would be.
He's one. I think he actually won the Bogurski Award for linebacker of the year, and he is well-rounded. And I think JDR and I think Ron Rivera will see the linebackers in themselves in him. I've watched some film. I've read up on Xavier Collins. His comp is like a poor man's Brian Urlacher. Like he's a big body, 6'4", 250, can drop back in coverage.
He's good at coverage.
He's great at coverage.
He's got great ball skills as well too.
Yeah, and if you get him at 21, 22 years old, or defensive lines like 25. We have Chase and Montez Sweat. That's a young defensive core we can build around for years. So I wouldn't be mad at that at all. But if I took a linebacker, Xavier Collins, if I took a wide receiver, Rashad Bateman, maybe Casey Horn from South Carolina would be my 19th pick.
Yeah, I think we can definitely get a linebacker, and I think Cox would be a perfect pick. I think we have pick 51 in the second round. He's probably be available around then. I'm not 100% sure about JOC. I know he was he was a safety and he converted to a linebacker, so he's kind of that tweener. I think. I think we already have one of those in Landon Collins. To be honest with you, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, and I wouldn't hate it if we drafted him. But I think we need a true middle linebacker, and Xavier Collins can play all three spots. Like we talked about, he's got great cover skills. But Jabril Cox is great too. I think he is.
That's a hard part.
Yeah, Rivera. They need that Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
for their defense to be complete. They really do. And I hope they find that guy early in the draft. I would, if it were me, I wouldn't worry about offensive tackle in the first round. I think Lucas did a well enough job that he's earned another year. Yes, we need some depth, but I think we can, find that later on in the draft, or even pick up, a couple backups and let them fight it out in camp. I wouldn't go tackle early in the draft. I would focus either, at linebacker or a skill position, obviously wide receiver, and even cornerback, like you said. Do you have any prospects? Let me rephrase it. Do you have any quarterbacks that you like? We have the top 4. Yes, there is obviously, still a chance that they could trade up to get one of the big 4, especially if they see someone slipping. But other than the big 4, do you have any prospects that you like later on in the draft?
To be honest with you, I haven't really dug in that deep. Like I've kind of looked heavy at the top, like prospects. Like I really like Zach Wilson a lot. I like Justin Fields. I know people are kind of like, he's Ohio State. He's kind of washed out.
I like Fields.
Yeah, I like Justin Fields
absolutely.
a lot too. I think Trey Lance is a good quarterback with high upside. I don't think he's ready yet. I think he's gonna have to sit for a year. And all of us know our fan base pretty well. I don't think we can handle that. I think by week 4, week 5, they'd be pretty upset when I put him in the. I don't think he would be insulated and safe here. I don't think he would work out here. But like people talk about what Kellen Mond, I believe is his name.
I love Kellen Mond. I think he'd be a great pick in the 3rd round. Let him sit. I see a lot of Dak Prescott in him, and I think he even has a higher ceiling just from their college careers.
I just heard you say Dick.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's all I heard.
Dick Prescott.
And listen, I'm not gonna lie, but he's been on Kellen Mond.
I have been.
So for him to mention,
I've been riding Mond's mound.
Awesome.
But I would love to get Kellen Mond, and I think Fitzpatrick, circling around and back to Fitzpatrick, would be a perfect quarterback for him to learn under. That would be my dream scenario. Round 3, I want defense or a linebacker, a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. Go get your quarterback in the 3rd round, let him sit, and then fill in, get some depth players. So I think that would be the smart play. Obviously, I'm not a GM. Otherwise, I'd be rich and probably wouldn't be talking to you guys if I was, but I like to pretend to be. Go ahead, George.
I want to say we have 2 third round picks.
Sure do.
The dice, right? So give that a shot. Maybe I would prefer maybe a safety or even like a running back. One falls down too far.
Yeah.
In the 3rd round possibly, but
I do think we need a running back. Absolutely. And you can find a good running back later on in the draft too.
I agree. Then finally, just going back to Zaven Collins, the one thing I like about him is he's kind of underrated as a pass rusher too. Like he'll blitz up the middle. So that's why I like him, man. So I'm high on him.
There's some people that slating him as an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. I'm like, you're wasting the man's repertoire. He
Put him in the middle of the field.
He can do everything. He can rush the passer from anywhere. He can split out into coverage.
He's huge.
He's huge and he's fast. He's a do-it-all type guy, and I think he's a Ron Rivera type guy, and he would be perfect for our defense. Absolutely perfect.
All about it.
We're going to segue into the segment that we all love, and it's Keith's Corner.
I can't wait for this. I'm ready.
To give everybody in Georgia fair warning, I have zero clue what Keith's going to say. He has the microphone. He can say whatever the hell he wants. Keith, the floor is yours, my man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate this opportunity. I'd like to give thanks to my mom and dad for me being awesome. All right, seriously, all day today, right? I've had to hear, be patient. What are you mad for? Ron's got a plan, right? Like I had to hear that all fucking day over one tweet. I'm going to say it again. That I've said for the past 10 years or longer that I've been on fucking Twitter, right? I am a grown ass man. I am 41 fucking years old. Okay. I'm not ashamed because I'm cool as shit. Right. I don't care how old I am.
Damn
right.
straight. Let's go.
That's right. I'm cool as shit. Okay. So with that being said, I don't want to fucking hear from fucking 21, 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds about being fucking patient, because you know what? I've been fucking patient for 30 years looking at this fucking quarterback carousel. Okay. Let's do this real quick. You ready? I just off the top of my head, Tony Banks, Gus Frerotte, right? Danny Werfel, Shane Matthews, Heath Schuler. Okay. Horrible, right? And hold on one second. John Beck. I mean, if you guys want to keep naming, go ahead. I'm going to get right back to you here in just a second.
Rex Grossman,
Jason Campbell.
Keep going.
Ramsey.
Okay.
We say Werfel.
Brad Johnson. Well, Brad Johnson wasn't that bad.
He's pretty good. So many. I can't even keep track. Josh Johnson.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay. Now hold on. Here's the funny thing. So this guy tweeted this: Rex Grossman, John Beck. So you can tell what era he's from.
Oh yeah.
Rex Grossman, John Beck, Robert Griffin III, Colt McCoy, Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith, Mark Sanchez, Josh Johnson, Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, and now Ryan Fitzpatrick. So you see the error. Well, guess what? To all of you fucking 20-year-olds out there and more, I've got it way worse than you. Okay. If that's what you can name as what's horrible, there's way worse out there. So please don't tell me to be fucking patient because I want this team to have a franchise quarterback. And I know all of you are out there. I don't want to hear it. Don't tweet towards me. Don't say nothing. I've been patient. So when I come out and I say, man, I really want a franchise quarterback, right? That's because I want to see one before I fucking die. And I've said this before, but the male life expectancy, we ain't living that long, right? And I can tell you as Redskins / Washington football team fans, right? Mostly Sundays and Mondays, we're usually cussing up a storm. Our blood pressure is rising. And that's probably part of the reason why we're all dying early, right? So
the Redskins, awesome.
So don't fucking tell me to be patient, okay? I don't want to be patient because I want to live and see this team continue to win, right? The last time I seen this happen, that was back in 91, right? And, ever since then, it's been a fucking mess. So, yes, I do want a franchise quarterback. Yes, I do understand that guy isn't there this year. That wasn't my complaint. My complaint is that I'm tired of waiting, okay? I'm tired of being told by every coach, we have a plan. The plan may not be this year. The plan could be this. The plan could be that. We've been told that by everybody. And listen, I'm not going to say the team hasn't tried to make that happen. They have at times, and it just didn't work out. But the time is now. So when we got guys like Deshaun Watson out there, we got guys like Russell Wilson that are out there and unhappy. I don't want to fucking see anybody talking about, I'm not giving up 3 firsts and a 4th for that guy. Get the fuck out of here, right? Stop watching football. Go fucking color. Go play Fortnite. I don't care what you have to do, but football ain't it. Color. It's not for you, okay?
That's funny.
It's not for you. Go draw a picture for your mom and hang it on the refrigerator, okay? Because football is not for you. So that's my whole point. I'm not calling out any names. I'm just tired of being told, why are you mad, bro? I'm not mad. I'm not mad that we signed Fitzgerald. I'm mad that we're going another year without a franchise quarterback. And that's what I want. So excuse the fuck out of me that I want to win. And I'm sorry, but Ryan Fitzpatrick just doesn't have me with lotion in one hand and sliced pickles in the other. Okay. I'm not over here talking about Kellen Mond like Jesse and mentioning the word dick. Okay. Now you give me a Deshaun Watson, you give me a Russell Wilson. Next podcast, This is
Oh,
what you're
Lord.
hearing.
Slice pickle time, baby.
Uh-oh.
Baby.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna have my
awesome.
wife. I'm gonna have my wife toss them right in my mouth. And I'll show y'all the lotion. Okay, but guess what? Ryan Fitzpatrick just ain't doing it for me. So
Yeah.
that's it. And Keith's Corner. The last thing that I'm gonna have to say is please put some respect on my name when I caca, because I was the first and only person to even talk about us getting Curtis Samuel, right? And then these checkmark, the checkmark Hawkins Haven comes out and mentions the same exact thing. People need to start giving me credit, and I'm going to start reaching out.
Credit where credit's due, God damn it.
That's right. Give me my motherfucking credit. And I'm tired of people telling me, who's your source? I'm not going to tell you that. It doesn't work that way. Right? Who's your source? You're just nothing. You're right. I am nothing. I'm a nobody on the couch. I've said that. And guess what? I have no problem with being wrong either. I get information. It's like a puzzle piece. I try to figure it out. And then sometimes I'm being just told outright. Just like today, I was told outright, this is what's going on. So I put it out there. Right? Because we need some excitement, because Fitz magic. And guess what? That's nauseating. We got to stop.
Oh,
Stop
come on
calling that man.
now. Come
Listen,
on.
Jesse, I love that. Dude. It's perfect.
Is my
That hair
chest
on-
hair- is my
I
chest
love
hair
it, Jesse.
sticking out good enough?
that
A little
hair
bit,
on
dude.
your
It's fine.
chest.
Yeah, diet for the Halloween. It'd be awesome. It'd be great.
What I need to see you is dress up as Kellen Mond, apparently.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll do that next week.
All I'm saying is listen, when I could call out there, it's because I'm getting legitimate information from people. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm 100% correct, because shit is fluid, but people need to start putting some fucking respect on my name. And I know that there are certain people that are following me that are fucking tweeting right after I do, to try to make it seem like that they're coming out with that information. I'm gonna find y'all. I'm gonna hunt you down, and I'm gonna call you out. All right. So yeah, watch the fuck out, because I saw it happen, and I ain't saying nothing, because like I said, at the end of the day, I'm no one. And I know Jason Wright's watching me, because he saw me last night when I talked about how it's so damn quiet out there that no information has been getting out. And my guy goes and likes my tweet, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to toss this gig, because he's paying attention to my tweets. He's loving the fact that it's close, which it was. No one saw the Fitzgerald thing coming. Right? No one saw that. Or what did I say? Fitzpatrick. I said Fitzgerald, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's probably because I'm, definitely not thinking of Dick. That's for sure.
Yeah, asshole.
No, so excuse me, Fitzpatrick. So, it is what it is. But between that, these young ass kids need to shut the fuck up. I'm not trying to listen to anything that they have to say anymore about be patient. Bitch, I'm gonna die patient, okay? And then after that, put some respect on my name. When I caca, that shit is for real. And if I'm wrong, I'm still there on Twitter. You come at me. I'm ready for it, because guess what? I do this shit for fun. I don't get paid for it. So at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck if you think I'm right or wrong and you want to come at me and clown me. It is what it is, but you're still following me to try to get that nugget ass information too. And for you thieves out there, I'm coming for you, because I saw what happened today.
Thieves.
That's fighting words right
Tweet
there.
thieves. So that's it for Keith's Corner.
Well, that was a very heated Keith's Corner, man. We appreciate that.
I kept that one quiet, actually. I was a little quieter than I wanted to be, but guess what? For the people that listen, oh, he mad. You hear him on Keith's Corner, he's mad. Like, so I gotta temper that shit.
That's so funny.
Fuckers.
Oh shit. Well, it's free agency frenzy has just begun. I think the actual free agency starts tomorrow, I believe. It was just the Tampa period.
Actually,
Yeah. So I'm sure throughout the week we I don't know if we're going to hear rumbles, but we hope that we hear a rumbling of a wide receiver here soon before they're all gone. Other than that, I have a feeling it's going to be quiet. And just
good chances on that I won't get that info either. So usually when you have big situations like this, the folks who are giving that information, they like to be the one to break that. So
yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, just stay tuned. Keith gets nuggets, man. I've seen it. I know. I'm not making the shit up. He's got people that talks to him. So reporters have sources.
And actually, they do it for the reason that George described earlier. Remember, George, when you were
to get it,
talking
to get people
Yeah,
talking
feeler
about
out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why too, again, when you get this information, you do have to be slightly careful because you don't know the purpose behind it. It could be where they know that we're going to put it out there. People are going to listen. They want to create buzz because they want to write a story. Or number two, what George, had touched on is, they want to see how the fan base is going to react. And I'm not going to say that they make decisions based upon the fan base reaction, but it's there. And if you don't think that they pay someone to read Twitter, you're crazy. They're paying attention. So it's there. So there's all types of purposes. So I just, I get tired of being discredited at this point. In the beginning, I didn't care, but I get tired of being discredited for certain things because I know that I'm a troll and people don't know whether to take me seriously or not. But at the end of the day, when I do this stuff, it's because it does create interest. And I do believe what's been told. There's been a lot of things that I've been told that to me, I was like, that's too fluid. I'm not going to put that out there. And then guess what? That happened to be the case. Then there was things where I was like, I'm on board. I'm telling you that Mohamed Sanu, I'll die on that hill, man. I thought that trade was happening, and I put it out there and I died on that hill alone and I look stupid. But you know what? I don't get paid for this shit, so I don't care.
Shit changes all the time.
Change all the time.
Look, reporters have sources that when they get their information, they're wrong too. It happens. But I'm telling you, I know Keith through Twitter. We've met through Twitter. We've never met in person, but I'm telling all the listeners out there that the shit that he's getting it. He's getting information. It's not, the shit's not being made up. It's not. Seriously.
I've showed certain people within a circle, what I mean? And so it is what it is. But like I said, I'm not here to cry about it, when people, because I like when people come at me because it's just so funny. Because then what happens
everybody loves coming at you because
right. Oh, they do
until you come back at them, and then they run away.
I grew to love Keith. I grew to love Keith. I've been on Twitter for like 10 years now. When I first went on, I was like, "What the hell? Like, who the fuck is this guy?"
He's an acquired taste.
Oh my god! I was like, I hated Keith so much. I first got, I was like, "Oh my god!"
A lot of people.
I went on. I was like, "He's a good dude. He's freaking, he's been funny. Like a lot of things. It's a poke the bear, which is hilarious. And like, I totally agree with him, man. I'm in the same ballpark age group as him, dude. Like, we've been around, we've seen so much, and it's like, dude,
I'm 40. I'm right there, man.
Yeah, dude. It's like, dude, like we earn the right to be critical and upset and to critique the team. Like, even though I love the team, I can still get upset with them and tell them they're doing the things wrong. Like, we've seen everything, so I don't judge you at all. Like, feel free, more power to you, man. Like, it's okay to be cynical. Like, I've been cynical before too, and people get mad at it. Like, dude, like you can't always be positive all the time. So,
you have every right to.
Every right to be angry. So here you go. We pay, dude, thousands of hours, thousands of dollars trying to get into this team. So we're allowed to, we're a part of it. Like, we are what makes the heartbeat of the team, in my opinion. So
absolutely.
You're right.
Yeah. Well, George, what do you got coming down the pipeline?
Not much. We have a couple draft podcasts coming up. I think we're gonna do one for FPC, a little roundtable with Ian and Nate. We're gonna do that upcoming.
Cool.
I'm gonna do a little full press coverage, a couple articles, kind of grading our free agency. I was working one on Fitzpatrick this morning, so I'm doing that too. And just kind of going with the flow, see how things go.
Cool. Where can people find your work, and how do they get a hold of you?
So first of all, my Twitter handle is gcarmi21 at gcarmi21. I'm also part of a larger group, Full Press Coverage Washington at FBC. What's that? Lower slash WSH. Washington there. FBC underscore WSH. And that's a big group of us. Like Alan Lepore, Nathan Coleman, Ian Cummings, Tony Wheat. All of us are on there. Sharing ideas and just kind of working together. Good little brain trust. So you can find us over there too. Bunch of
awesome. Good work. Awesome, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Keith, you got anything else, my man?
I ain't got shit. I said all I had to say.
All right. Well, for Keith Gray, I'm Jesse Martin, your host, and this is the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. Thanks for listening. Catch us next time. Probably we might do a bar talk this weekend. Try to get a couple people on here and just shoot the shit. But until then, hail to the patients.